Benucci.
Yep.
And I learned about you. I'm working at a local juice shop, and they mentioned you used to come in, and they told me about your website, crushcancer.net. And I got on there and read your story, saw your pictures of your stage 3 brain cancer tumor, and saw your story of how you had your surgery, you removed the tumor, you went through I think the chemo and the radiation.
I did, yeah.
And then used other means, healthy means, to kind of help support your immune system to not have a reoccurrence and to help your immune system get better.
Right.
So just wanted to kind of follow up with you on kind of your thoughts, because brain cancer is one of those things that's like really, really scary. You know, people.
It is.
I'd be terrified if I got that diagnosis. And so to be able to meet somebody who not only successfully overcame it, but is now, we're going to talk about a little bit later, competing in triathlons, I think that there's information people need to hear, because when you get a diagnosis like that, all of a sudden I'm sure you probably go in a panic mode, and there's like this feeling of I must act now. And I think when people panic, there's not, your thinking and your judgment probably are not the best, you know, because you've got information coming from all sides and you feel like you need to do something.
Right.
And you had mentioned to me over the phone that if I had known then what I know now, I might have done things a little bit differently. And so this is just information for people down the road. Not only that, but what I really wanted to talk about too is that were you having any kind of how did you know? How did you find out you had cancer? What symptoms?
The biggest symptom was the severe headaches that I was having. It was excruciating. You know, I'd had headaches for years, but not to this extent. You know, what I used to do. I mean, they were minor ones. Sometimes they last a week, but they're real minimal as far as the pain goes, and I just take 4 Advil and Pepsi.
Okay, so that's exactly what I wanted to get to, because this tumor didn't just pop up overnight. So when you say you were having headaches for years, how many years?
As far as I can remember, it's probably at least 10 years.
Okay.
But as far as, I asked that question, how long has the tumor been there? Because it was a good sized tumor. It was a little bit bigger than the size of a baseball. And they said it could have been growing inside of me for over 20 years. They have no way of really knowing, but it's possible.
Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I'm 39 right now.
Okay. And you were diagnosed with cancer at how old?
33.
33. So 20 years from age 13.
Possible.
That's the point I think I want people to really come about, because I think all of us are conditioned to we get action when we finally have a problem, and yet we don't, because we're not cars and we can't open up our hoods and see the problem's been growing for 10-20 years, which would have been more effective to do the action back then when it was just growing small. And this is not to blame anybody, this is our whole society has been conditioned this way, is that there's 7 stages leading up to cancer, and the first one is irritation. And I would consider a headache an irritant, right? And then, like you said, our culture has been taught to believe, oh, I just take an Advil and I take a Pepsi or whatever I do, I take a sleep at night, and it's just an irritant, I ignore it. And yet our body is giving us feedback that, wait a minute, something's wrong here. So you got these excruciating headaches, you found out, you got this diagnosis, you decided to do the surgery, you decided to do the chemo. I'm assuming that had you known then what you know now, you probably wouldn't have done the chemo and the radiation.
I wouldn't have done the chemo and the radiation, I would just do the surgery.
Okay.
I did 2 surgeries, 4 months apart, and back then I didn't, everybody thinks that you go through radiation and chemo. That's just the procedure. You have no idea. I had no clue. I never thought I'd get cancer. I was always active. Probably didn't eat the best things all the time, but I was active.
Do you mind me asking what you were eating?
Just the regular diet. Lots of meat and eggs and junk.
Well,
fast foods.
Okay, because I wanted to make that point too. Is that were you eating the meat and stuff at home, or were you eating mainly fast food, or a combination of both?
It's probably
or?
a combination of both. I mean, I didn't go to fast foods all the time, but I had them occasionally.
Okay.
But at home, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, because you eat now a plant-based diet, correct?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think, well, I eat healthy because I eat at home, but it's the meat and the cheese and the eggs, and they don't realize from Forks Over Knives and the China study that, just like Ruth Heydrich said, that's the food that gave you in her case, breast cancer.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be we're eating at McDonald's in order to be doing damage to our body.
Right. I think the biggest thing is most people are eating dead food all the time and not getting enough fruits and vegetables in their diet. I mean, I took a look back at it and I started thinking, there's no way I was eating fruits and vegetables every single day. I know it. I mean, I wasn't. I look back. I mean, I can remember in college, pot pies. I mean, they had, unbelievable. You look at the ingredients in that stuff, it's terrible.
Yeah, you can't even pronounce them.
Yeah. It's unbelievable.
So, okay, so you completely overhauled your lifestyle. What changes did you make?
Well, at the very beginning, the first thing I learned from a doctor who was in the Army, at the very beginning, how I came across, it was Booster Juice at the time, now it's Tree City. The guy told me about wheatgrass, and that's where it kind of started. That's where my, and then I saw a book inside, about wheatgrass, and it kind of progressed from there. I read about another book, so. But at the beginning, I actually started macrobiotics because I had a cousin's, my cousin's wife's mother went through cancer, and that's what she did. But as I started doing it, I'm like, you know what, this really doesn't, to me, it just didn't make sense,
What part specifically?
Just not getting live foods in my body.
Okay.
And that, I think that's what led me, after I started reading about wheatgrass and whatnot, I started learning that, hey, I need to build my immune system as strong as I can get it to combat anything that might come my way. And I thought, to do that, I need to have live foods in my body.
So did you go 100% raw?
I did.
Okay.
At that point, I just, overnight basically. I mean, it wasn't easy, but yeah.
So give me a typical day.
Typical day, now or then?
Back then.
Back then, just a lot of vegetable juices and salads.
Okay,
Really.
so
And sprouts and yeah.
celery, cucumber, kale, parsley,
All that.
anything green.
Anything green.
How many ounces of wheatgrass juice a day?
That's probably been anywhere from 2 to 4 a day.
Okay. And did you grow your own?
I do.
And
in fact, I just finished it. I just juiced it and I have them in jars and stuff. So.
okay, cool. Very cool. So now that you told me over the phone that not only is the cancer completely gone, but even the scar tissue, your doctors were amazed, was completely gone.
They said that's not a common thing.
And so how long have you had a clean?
That's been 5.5 years.
5.5 years. And so now you've introduced some quote-unquote non-live foods back in your diet for a little bit more balance, make it a little bit more workable.
Yeah, I usually have one cooked meal a day.
Okay.
Maybe, not every single day, but some days I do, and it usually consists of maybe some rice and vegetables. So, that kind of a thing. I mean, I do other stuff. I'll have some oatmeal from time to time, kind of a thing,
Did you see Forks Over Knives?
I haven't yet. I've seen the trailer.
Well,
I saw the trailer, but I haven't seen the video.
Well, you can borrow mine if you want. I just watched it with my husband, and there's a scene in there that I think you'd appreciate. Rip Esselstyn, Caldwell Esselstyn's son, is a firefighter, and he was a professional triathlete. And he was mentioning about how men, particularly, there's a stigma about going vegan because somehow it's not manly. And so it has a scene where, as a firefighter, there's a fire pole, and he is no legs, just arms, climbing up the fire pole, and he's, real men eat plants. And it was great.
Cool. Yeah, I like
and I think that's the paradigm that needs to change for people, is that, here you are, you're fit, you do triathlons now. People don't realize, they associate veganism with like the skinny, hippie, type thing, sprouts, and they don't realize that beans, sweet potatoes, rice, there's a lot of things that you can eat that